Derrick White, from Division II to Olympic gold medalist, started from the bottom.
Derrick Jones with the rejection. Here's Irving. Washington drives. Blocked by White. Oh, what a block from Derrick White.
Summer 2012, Derrick White was just another overlooked high school graduate, gearing up for his freshman season at the University of Colorado, Colorado Springs, an NCAA Division II program. No hype, no fanfare, just a skinny kid with a dream. If you had told anyone back then that this kid would one day be an NBA champion and an Olympic gold medalist, they would have laughed you out of the gym. But fast forward 12 years and Derrick White has done the unthinkable. He's a champion with the Boston Celtics, a gold medalist with Team USA, and one of the most respected two-way guards in the league. And to be honest, none of this was supposed to happen. So how did it? How did a player who was barely recruited, overlooked, and underestimated become a key piece on a championship team? Today, we're breaking down Derrick White's insane rise, the skills that make him elite, and why his story is one of the most inspiring in basketball. Derrick White's journey to the NBA wasn't just unlikely, it was borderline impossible. He wasn't a five-star recruit. He wasn't a high school phenom. In fact, most of his teenage years, no one outside of Parker, Colorado even knew his name. At 6 feet tall and barely 155 pounds, White was a wiry guard, putting up 20 points per game at Legend High School. Solid numbers, sure, but not the kind that screams future NBA star. Desperate to get him noticed, his trainer and mentor, Marcus Mason, along with his parents, knew he had game, so they took matters into their own hands, sending out nearly 50 highlight DVDs to colleges nationwide. The response? Silence. Or the classic, "Sorry, kid, you're too small." While his peers were signing Division I letters of intent with fancy pens and proud parents, White's mailbox remained emptier than a Lakers championship parade in the 2010s. No D1 offers, no mid-major interest. His only four-year college opportunity came from Johnson & Wales, a school famous for its culinary arts program than its basketball team. Imagine explaining to people, yeah, I play basketball at the same school that makes world-class pastry chefs. But just when it looked like his career would peak at making crossover moves between baking classes, fate stepped in. Jeff Culver, the coach who initially recruited White to Johnson & Wales, took over at Division II University of Colorado, Colorado Springs, UCCS, and threw White a lifeline, a $3,000 scholarship as a preferred walk-on. Tuition was $20,000, not exactly a full ride, more like trying to buy a Ferrari with lunch money. But White bet on himself, took out a student loan, and went all in. Then something crazy happened. White showed up in Colorado Springs 4 inches taller. It was like his body had been waiting for this moment. The plan? Redshirt his freshman year. In basketball terms, that means sitting on the bench and clapping enthusiastically. But injuries forced UCCS to throw him into action. Even though he was still growing into his body, White made an immediate impact, starting all 26 games, averaging 16.9 points, and earning Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference Freshman of the Year. Over the next 3 years, White transformed from Division II curiosity to absolute superstar. By his junior season, he was putting up video game numbers, 25.8 points, 7.4 rebounds, and 5.2 assists per game. His scoring ability at all 3 levels made Division II defenders look like they were playing a completely different sport. By now, he was 6'4", much stronger, and torching defenders with ease. He dropped 50 points against Colorado School of Mines and led his team to the 2015 NCAA Division II tournament. The accolades kept piling up: 2-time first-team All-RMAC, 2-time Division II All-American, but still, NBA scouts weren't watching. Derrick White remained basketball's best-kept secret. Playing in Division II is like hopping in the witness protection program. You could be averaging 40, but if you're not in the right spotlight, no one's noticing. However, Division I schools were paying attention, and finally White got a shot, transferring to the University of Colorado for his senior season. He knew this was his best chance to make the NBA. The competition was tougher, the pressure was higher, but White, he thrived. Moving up to Division I is typically where feel-good stories crash back to reality. Players who dominated smaller schools suddenly look ordinary against elite competition. But White, he treated the Pac-12 like it was just another Tuesday practice, averaging 18.1 points, 4.4 assists, and 4.1 rebounds. He earned all Pac-12 first-team honors. His basketball IQ, defensive versatility, and three-level scoring had NBA scouts scrambling to find footage of this guy they'd somehow missed for 4 years. An invitation to the 2017 NBA Combine finally put White on the map that mattered. Still, he was an underdog. By the 2017 NBA Draft, White had finally made it onto mock drafts, but he wasn't some hyped-up lottery pick. Late first-rounders don't get handed anything. They have to scrap for their spot. When the Spurs took him 29th overall, he had officially beaten the odds. But making the league is one thing. Sticking, that's another challenge entirely. White spent most of his rookie season in the G League, playing for the Austin Spurs, refining his skills against other hungry prospects. For many first-rounders, this would feel like a demotion, like getting your driver's license and then being told you can only drive in an empty parking lot. For White, it was just another opportunity to prove himself. Every step of his career had been maximizing whatever chances he got, no matter how small. Under Greg Popovich, he sharpened his game, learning defensive discipline, smart decision-making, and how to impact winning. By year 2, he cracked the Spurs' rotation, proving himself as a versatile, high-IQ two-way guard. White had earned Popovich's trust, which in NBA circles is harder to get than a straight answer from Kyrie Irving. Then came his breakout moment, the moment when the basketball world collectively sat up and said, "Wait, who is this guy again?" April 18th, 2019, Game 3 of the NBA playoffs, the Spurs versus the Denver Nuggets. White was matched up against Jamal Murray, a blue-chip prospect whose path to the NBA had been paved with gold stars and national attention since high school. What happened next was basketball poetry. White exploded for 36 points, attacking relentlessly, locking down on defense, and making Murray look like he was the one who belonged in Division II. For one perfect night, the basketball universe balanced its scales. Though the Spurs didn't advance, White had announced himself to the world. Over the next few seasons, White kept elevating his game. He became one of the league's most underrated perimeter defenders, a steady playmaker, and a full-time starter, averaging 13.2 points, 4.2 assists, and 3.3 rebounds while taking on the toughest defensive assignments. But just when it seemed like he had become a Spurs lifer, everything changed. And when that moment came, it changed everything. In February 2022, the Boston Celtics made a mid-season move that didn't exactly set Twitter on fire. They traded for Derrick White. No blockbuster headlines, no superstar names involved, just a quiet under-the-radar deal. But for Boston, this wasn't just adding another player. It was finding the missing piece to a championship puzzle they'd been trying to solve for over a decade. They saw in White exactly what they needed, a tough, unselfish, defensive-minded guard who could impact winning without demanding the spotlight. The kind of player whose value is measured in winning plays rather than SportsCenter highlights. While casual fans barely noticed the trade, NBA insiders knew this might just be the move that put Boston over the top. From the moment he arrived, White fit in like he'd been there for years. His defensive versatility let him guard multiple positions. His high basketball IQ made him an ideal playmaker alongside Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And his ability to hit clutch shots, well, let's just say Boston fans were about to find out. Playoff time came and White wasted no time proving his worth. In Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals against the Miami Heat, he dropped 22 points, dished out 5 assists, snagged 3 steals, and even recorded a block. Though the Celtics fell short that night, they bounced back to win Game 7, sending White to the NBA Finals for the first time in his career. And in Game 1 of the Finals against the Golden State Warriors, he lit up 21 points, 5 three-pointers, and a massive role in Boston's fourth-quarter comeback. He became the first Celtic reserve to score 20-plus points in an NBA Final game since Leon Powell in 2008. The Celtics ultimately lost that series in 6 games. But for White, this was just the opening act. The Division II kid who couldn't get a scholarship was now a proven NBA Finals performer. The basketball gods, it seemed, had finally started paying attention. By the 2023 season, White had locked in his starting role, and when Marcus Smart, the heart and soul of the Celtics defense, went down with injury, White stepped up. On February 10, 2023, White erupted for a career-high 33 points in a win over the Charlotte Hornets. 3 days later, he was named Eastern Conference Player of the Week, averaging 24.5 points, 4.8 rebounds, and 7.5 assists while keeping the Celtics rolling. By season's end, White's stat line showed career best across the board, including 82 games played, 38% from three, and an eye-popping 76 blocks that earned him his first NBA All-Defensive Second-Team selection. Opponents were learning what the Celtics already knew. Derrick White turns basketball dreams into basketball nightmares. Then came the moment that would forever etch his name in Boston Celtics lore, Game 6 of the 2023 Eastern Conference Finals against Miami. Down 1, seconds left. Facing elimination, Marcus Smart's desperate three-point clanked off the rim. The game, for all practical purposes, was over. But out of nowhere, Derrick White appeared, crashing the glass. At the perfect moment, he tipped the ball just before the buzzer sounded. It dropped in, and the Celtics won. In that instant, White joined the most exclusive club in basketball. He became just the second player in NBA history to hit a buzzer-beating game winner with his team trailing and facing elimination. The only other member of that club, Michael Jordan in 1989. Not bad company from a Division II kid. After the Celtics traded Marcus Smart to Memphis, White's role expanded even further. In the 2023-24 season, he elevated his game yet again, averaging 15.2 points, 5.2 assists, and 4.2 rebounds while shooting a career-best 39.6 from three. And when the playoffs arrived, he was at his best. The Celtics rolled through the postseason, capping it off with a dominant NBA Finals win over Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks. While White picked up his second consecutive All-Defensive Second-Team selection, no longer the underdog story, now simply one of the best defensive guards in the world. Winning an NBA championship would be the career pinnacle for most players. For Derrick White, it was just another checkpoint on a journey that defied every expectation. In 2024, he received basketball's ultimate honor, an invitation to represent Team USA in the Paris Olympics. The skinny kid who once sent out 50 DVDs begging for a college look was now wearing the red, white, and blue on the global stage. Unlike his teammates, White wasn't a former lottery pick or a superstar headliner. He was the only player on the roster who played at a Division II school and spent time in the G League. Every other member of Team USA had been a top 20 draft pick or skipped college entirely. Yet, just as he had at every previous step of his career, White proved he belonged through sheer force of will and basketball brilliance. His role on Team USA mirrored what made him invaluable in Boston: suffocating defense, brilliant decision-making, and the uncanny ability to deliver in moments when others might shrink. As Team USA secured gold, White reinforced the lessons his entire career had taught. Winning basketball isn't measured in highlight dunks or crossovers that break social media. It's about impact, versatility, and heart. The Celtics recognized they had basketball's most valuable Swiss Army knife, rewarding him with a 4-year, $125.9 million extension. The kid who once cobbled together student loans to play Division II ball was now worth 9 figures to an NBA franchise. With an NBA championship ring on one hand and an Olympic gold medal on the other, White had completed one of the most improbable journeys in basketball history. So take notes. For every kid sitting in a small gym somewhere being told they're not good enough, not big enough, not special enough, Derrick White isn't just an inspiration. He's living proof that sometimes the experts are wrong. Sometimes the path to greatness isn't a straight line. And sometimes the most incredible journeys begin with someone simply saying yes when the rest of the world has said no. If you enjoyed this breakdown, Hit that like button, subscribe for more NBA content that goes beyond the highlights, and drop a comment letting us know which player's journey you want to see next. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.